Hello and welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show live. Birmingham City 1, Leeds United 0. It is the instant match reaction with myself, Stephen Browney, joining me as ever. My right-hand man on the Leeds United stuff. It is Jayson Booker. Wow. Where do you start with this? I tell you what, let's kind of rewind. I got probably the text I was fearing I would get probably about half an hour before the game. It was from yourself, and it was saying Sinisterra was not in the squad. I was busy. I was been doing a bit of painting and decorating today, and I was going to the tip, and I was back and forth. So I didn't see the squad announcement. I didn't see the lineup. My first kind of glimpse of it was when you put it on the group and when you messaged saying Sinisterra's not in the squad. Alarm bells ringing because there was a tweet flying around last night on Twitter that Sinisterra has gone and pulled a Willie Nonto. So let's start at the beginning. You get the news, Sinisterra not in the squad. What were you thinking at that point, Jace?
It's just been a rough week, hasn't it?
Yeah.
As a Leeds fan, I mean, I think if you dealt with this season with a bit of a reality check, I think we all knew that there were going to be ups and downs, especially in between now and the end of the window. I think this week has just really hit home how impactful relegation has been, and the things that we're now having to deal with, and the poor management and mismanagement of the club, before the 49ers took over, because a lot of what we're suffering with now is because of how badly managed it was before, go over the release clauses and all the rest of it. But yeah, this week, right from, Max Aaron's looking like he was coming in, and the disappointment that caused, because it was almost like we lost a player that we really cared about. Like, he was pretty much in through the door. And then, the news coming out with Nonto the other day. I mean, I suppose they couldn't have kept it under wraps for too long, but we didn't even question him not being in the squad the other day. And then we leave the ground and he, it apparently has refused to play. Then it turns out within 24 hours it's confirmed that was the case, and then whispers start coming out about Sinisterra being the same. I believe it for what it's worth. I think he plays 10 minutes the other day. There's no noise about him being injured. Daniel Farke doesn't say he's injured yesterday. Apparently he travelled with the team but then refused to play today. So who knows, his agent might have been on the phone. XYZ team are interested. Louis don't play. Given his injury record, you can half understand it, but it's about what it says about how these players see our football club. And I saw Connor do a very passionate video earlier, and I thought it were absolutely spot on in that every single Leeds fan that goes and supports their football club and would die and would do anything to just step onto that pitch once and play for Leeds United, they're spitting in your faces, and that's exactly what they're doing. When we need them most, they are spitting in our faces. The likes of Rafinha, who didn't owe Leeds United anything, was an absolute superstar for 2 seasons. He knew we were going to Barcelona when we stepped onto the field against Brentford that day, and he acted exactly how a footballer and a professional should act. He gave it all out there on the pitch, and he made sure, the ceremony that he did at the end of the game, that weren't for eyeballs, that weren't for attention. He's never come out and discussed it afterwards, but it was a religious belief that he'd prayed and asked for that outcome, and he got the outcome that he prayed for. And then he's kind of, for those of you that don't know this, the payback that he has to then give is what you saw, basically walking on your hands and knees across the area in which it was fulfilled, something like that. It's a religious act, and that just says everything. And you go from that extreme to the likes of Berardi, who played when he didn't even have a contract on offer for us, and he got an ACL injury in that game where he could have gone on and had a further career. He could have left us at the end of that season, got a decent move, got a 3 or 4 year contract. Berardi never really had a career after that. Leeds United were good enough to give him another year on the back of what happened, and then he had 1 more year in Switzerland and retired at 31. For all we know, it could have been to do with the injury. So these are proper people. I'm not saying that you have to go to that extreme, but to refuse to play, to refuse to see out your contract
There's no justification for it. Now, it's one thing to have Max Wober, Rasmus Christiansen, and these guys pushing for this loan release clause to be activated. You know, Werber, when an offer comes in, I want to take it. I want to take the easy way out and go and play. And we all scoffed at it. We thought, they're in front of the side before self pictures and all this kind of. You laugh at them and think it's pathetic, but you know what? Well within his rights to do it. Yeah. Fine. This refusal to be part of the matchday squad is just incredible. And you know what? You hit the nail on the head when you say it's the disdain that they hold for Leeds United. Yeah. We must be so low down in what they think of us. We're a proud football club. We're a proud football club with a rich history, and we've had some fantastic players at this football team. We've sailed the heights, and we deserve better than players. I mean, what were them two doing today? Sat home twiddling their thumbs. What were they doing? Just sat there going, "Oh, great, well done, you two, well done."
The one thing that I will say,
unless it comes out, but Nonto is sat there today like he was on Wednesday night, not contributing, taking his wage. It's so disgraceful. And I'd love, it would never happen in a million years, but I'd love his future club, whoever that may be, or whoever's sniffing around him, Everton by all concerns, to go, you know what, actually, your attitude and what you've done, we're not interested in you anymore. Because what's to say you're just not going to do the same to us? And we had all that with Anthony Gordon, and we don't want to go down that route again. Yeah. So already with this backdrop to today, you're looking at the team sheet. I mean, if you'd have told me this was the team sheet, at the start of the season, and this, by the way, was supposed to be our easy runner games at the start of the season. It was meant to be a nice, gentle start. We got 1 point. When you see the lineup, Jace, I mean, what are you thinking? You've got Shackleton in there. You've got Ayling still at right back. Meslier's come back into the team. Pavane gets a start. I mean,
let me just finish on two things on him. The position that it then puts the selling club in when this happens is horrible. He looks terrible for doing it as well. But it definitely diminishes our position because the buying club can easily then just say, well, we don't even want to play for you anyway. It's not even playing. So it puts you in a really compromised position. And second to that with Nonto, I do have just a shred, not much, but I do have a shred of sympathy for him because I don't believe that there's a 19-year-old footballer out there, Brownie, that doesn't want to turn up and play football on a Saturday. I think this is a badly advised situation. Agents don't give a shit. They don't. They just want their cut of the pie, cut of the deal. He'll get a signing on bonus for the agent when he signs for his new club. And I do think it's an awful position to put your client in, a young 19-year-old lad. Like I don't believe it. Sinisterra, if it turns out with Sinisterra, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit more mature, a little bit more experienced, a little bit more seasoned. He's gone through some transfers before. This situation with Nonto, the whole thing just stinks. But anyway, coming into the squad. What do you say, mate? Like that's the honest kind of feeling that I had. We've still got Ayling in there. I thought it was horrific again today. Dembele was just having him on toast.
I mean, yeah. I mean, honestly, how many times do you have to see it?
I'm obviously glad to see Byram start at left back. I thought he did okay. Ampadu, Gray, but again, the fact that Gray's had to start all 3 games. It's just beyond belief. Shackleton starting after it. He apparently got man of the match the other day. I mean, I didn't see that performance, but what do I know? And then the front. When you're suffering further back in the team, what got us through the Cardiff game, especially in the second half, was that we had so much firepower. This week, we had none. We had Shackleton starting at right wing. We had Pavane start at 10. I thought he had a poor game. I know you didn't think he had that bad of a game, but I thought it was really ineffective. I thought Gellert was so poor. The ball came into him, bounced off him. He's got no turn of pace. Doesn't make the runs. He's just totally ineffective. And, Dan James is going to get the criticism for the moment. And he don't get me wrong, he wastes so many opportunities. But I'm going to say there's 2 caveats to that. He was our only outlet all game. He was the only player that actually looked semi-threatening. And how much more effective would he look if he had an actual 9 to play the ball to? Because again, he's playing crosses into the 6-yard area, and there's nobody there. I was screaming 5 minutes into the second half. He plays the ball towards the front post, and Joffrey's like 10 yards back. He's behind the penalty spot, and I'm like,
said, didn't he? James said, "Make a run, and Joffrey."
What is he meant to do? Wingers are only going to look good on paper with goals and assists if you've got players that are then feeding off his deliveries. You know, there were a couple of balls where he clipped them in towards the back edge of the 6-yard box, and they might not have been perfectly accurate, but again, a striker that's expecting it, that's in the mood to move and be in the right place, maybe feeds on 1 or 2 of them. But, you know, I put a tweet out about 5 minutes before we came on, Brownie, that it says everything about where our squad is, that our new centre-back signing that we've just made had to come on for his debut up front. Like, we didn't have a striker to bring on in the last 5 minutes to try and launch the ball forward. Rutter had already come on, he's not a striker. We brought Joe Rodon on, and he played up front, Brownie. He played as a centre-forward. So yeah, that maybe tells you how I feel about this. The squad. I'm upset. I'm more like dejected than it was angry last season. You know, when we had some of our more heated conversations last season, I was angry. Tonight, I just feel a little bit despondent. Coming out of there with the point wouldn't have been a bad result, to be honest. They weren't great. We weren't great. We didn't create much. They didn't create much. They probably edged it, but so they should. They're at home. First game of the season, you know, there should be a little bit more on it. If I'm going to find some positives for you, I thought Struijk was decent-ish. I thought it was all right. I thought it was the best. I thought Ampadu was probably our man of the match.
I thought Ampadu was. Yeah, the guy is just smooth. You know the way he does it. He just looks a step above. He looks a class above what we've got.
It just feels like he's doing it all. That's the problem. It feels like he's the only player with a real turn of quality. But I did think Struijk were okay today. I thought he looked confident on the ball. It looked like he wanted to take charge, but there was very, very little to enjoy. I thought Archie were a bit of a passenger today. He had a couple of moments where he got his foot stuck and he came out with the ball, and we've seen that he's
tired. I mean, he looked like he'd
played 3 games in a week.
Yeah, he looked like 3, that. You know,
he's 17. His body's still developing. He's played 3 nearly 90 minutes within 7 days. It's no surprise. Go on, ask me the next question.
Yeah, Charterhouse Media, thanks for your comment, mate. Dull mood over the performance. I'm angry with Nonto attitude. I see no reason why Leeds don't sue him for breach of contract. Footballers have to respect their club. Completely agree with that. Absolutely. If you're watching along, if you can just like the video as well, please. Get your comments in as well. How are you feeling after that one? Richo, Everton, disappointing start for us also, I know.
Good.
Yeah, good. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
good.
A couple of things. I made more notes in the first half than I did the kind of second. For me, Cresswell was so shaky that first half. Cresswell, first 20 minutes. I mean, he's a young player. He's not, maybe not that used to first team, but God, he was sloppy at times with Cresswell today. Obviously, he's not by no means the biggest problem today, but I just thought, come on, I mean, giving it away a few times with some sloppy passes that first half. I just thought, what are you doing, lad? Come on.
Brownie, there's so many moving parts going on right now in this team. You know, we're trying to learn a completely new style. You know, we've not got a settled side. Some of the players that are playing probably won't be here come the end of the window. They probably know it. They're playing for the futures. Some of them won't want to be here. We've got an extremely young team. So, you know, you look at Charlie and you think, oh my God, he's so young, like 21 year old. He's actually probably one of our more experienced players.
Yeah.
So then you're looking at him for a little bit of leadership, but he's not ready to do that role yet. He's alongside Pascal, who I said today was okay, but he's shaky himself. You know what I mean? So you've then got alongside him on the left side, you've got a right-footed left back. You've got a keeper behind you that's shelled 160 goals in 2 years. You've got Archie Gray in front of you, who's 17. You know, like there's just so much to unpack. I
mean, it's one of them. It's like nothing happened, but It's just
Brownie. You then step on the pitch, right? And from a mental point of view, you've left Sinisterra at the hotel. That's dominating conversation. All that everybody's talking about is Nonto. Don't think that this doesn't affect the team, because it does. Yeah, you say, they should be professional getting it. No, but these are their best players. They're their match winners. You're looking up front, and for the likes of the back four, who are probably gonna bear in mind, like today as well. Like, we did defend okay for most of the game. We defended okay, and we lost to a penalty in the 90th minute. Like, Sinisterra today for me probably wins as a game.
Yeah.
It probably wins as a game. So,
I mean, we were purring about him midweek, weren't we? Some of the, it was only on for 10 minutes, and some of the touches that were just absolutely sublime. And I mean, when you think of that attack we had last weekend, Somerville, Nonto, Sinisterra, today you could really feel that we just had nothing like it. George, thanks for your comment, mate. My old man spent 6 months in a POW camp and said watching that game was worst. Yeah, it
weren't good.
There was just a bad feeling around it, though. I mean, it's like you sent me before, just it had that vibe just soon. Everything about today was just, everything about it, you just screamed that it was going to be this kind of result.
I just put on Twitter as well before we went out my screenshot of sending you that Jukovic is coming on 1-0 incoming. And literally 5 minutes later it was.
Yeah, I mean, the penalty, you thought it were a bit soft, didn't you?
I thought it was. I think Laird comes across him. I think if that was outside the box, I don't think it's given. It's one of them that kind of then looks a little bit more dramatic. I don't even know if he makes contact with him. I felt a bit sorry for James in it, but it is what it is. It's one of them that'll probably go for you sometimes and go against you sometimes. You know what, Brownie? It's only a point because we weren't going to win the game. I'm not even that bothered about the result right now. I knew August was going to be tough. You knew August was going to be tough. I think most fans that try to, again, see through anybody saying, top two and all that, it's just it's pure delusion. So for me, it's all about getting to that point where Daniel Farke's imparted as much across as he can and the squad is settled. So yeah, sure, of course, I would have loved us to win the game or take a point, but it's more about everything else that's surrounding it at the moment that I'm concerned about and that I'm feeling dejected about. If we'd have gone there and lost 1-0 today, and Aaron's had a sign the other day, and Nonto had come out and said, I'm looking to leave to go to the Premier League, but I'm going to give my all for Leeds United until that happens. Fine. Yeah. Fine. Like, we can all handle it. It's just the shitty feeling because we've been having this for so long now. So...
Just gone on and on it. LUFC 11, I was just going to point this out as well. Thank you. Adam Pope, initial reports are that Sinisterra was unavailable. So I think Pope is still waiting for Daniel Farke's press conference. But initial reports saying unavailable, which, for me, I'm like, FIFA have to step in with this. I mean, what happens if you have 5 players that decide to do this? I mean, what happened? What if Somerville now does this? Somerville could do. What if Rutter turns around and goes, "Oh no, actually." I mean, when do you draw a line here? This is insane. I've never known. Have you ever seen this at a club where 2 have done it? There's been a lot of cases where 1 have done it, but 2 players.
My gut feeling, mate, is that they'll probably end up both going pretty quickly. They'll probably both end up going pretty quickly. I think Leeds are obviously appearing as if they're going to stand firm, which is the right thing to do. But they'll be docked their wages, I would imagine. I think that's pretty standard practice. And I would just imagine to see them both moved on as quickly as possible.
Well, I mean, Sinisterra, it's weird because there's not even been any teams linked with it.
The foul was outside the box as well, by the way. I'm just seeing images of it. Yeah, it was outside the box.
Just lovely. Bring back the AR. Farke's reaction to the defeat, LUFC 11. Thanks again, mate. When you judge the game, 1 point for each team would have been deserved. We had more possession, but they had individual quality in their counter-attacks. I mean, stop playing Luke Ayling. Christ, he can't defend anything. He can't. He's beating for pace. He's beating for skill. Slow. I mean, I separate with Luke Ayling. I've said this many times before. I love Luke Ayling. For me, he's in the pantheon of real top players for this club. and I just want it to end now because I'm just sick to death. I mean, it's like we said the other night, though. As soon as Aaron's deal fell off, we're like, he lives to fight another day. Does Ayling? He's just going to keep going. I mean, they targeted Ayling today. That last half an hour, it was just Ayling.
Dembele had him on toast.
He's got yards on someone, and he still loses out. Ball gets knocked around him, and he's.
The thing is, Browney, he makes the wrong decisions too. Like, it's not just technical ability; it's literally he makes the wrong decisions. So he runs in when he shouldn't. He backs off when he should go. Like, his just decision making is just terrible. This is sad. It's really sad.
Farcron Sinisterra, he was not available. There will be a time when we talk about this situation. I don't explain more. So that's
same as what he said. Same as what he said midweek.
2 Leeds United players refusing to be part of the match day squad, trying to push for transfers or whatever it is they're trying to do, refusing to play football for the team, refusing to be in the team.
But you know what, mate? I'm just going to say 2 things on this, right? It says everything about our recruitment last season. So after Tyler Adams goes as well, they'll have all gone. There won't be anybody left that we signed last season, I think, right? I'm talking about Nonto and Sinisterra as well, yeah? And second to this, right? I had somebody say this to me the other day, like, we were the only ones who saw Nonto, right? Or something to that effect. And I was like, nah, that's not the case. He was an Italian international for a start. Plenty of teams will have known about Willy Nonto. Yeah. I'm starting to now come to maybe the realization that there were a reason that nobody else signed him. and we got him for such a low fee because there's reasons behind it. Now, we've seen glimpses, sure, right? But you know his actual talent and his attitude. Think about every time he got subbed off and how arrogant and shaking his head and kicking up a fuss of it. What? 3 managers dropped him, right? And didn't play him. And now this. There's clearly some background to Willy Nonto that makes him an unattractive opposition for some teams. Because he would have gone to another team had he have been that good before Leeds. And there'd also be better teams and more stable teams in for him than Everton right now, if he was the bag.
But when he came through, the Marsh's big thing was how professional he was and how like he was an example to Somerville and all this kind of stuff. I mean, But you're right. I mean, the facts are he got dropped several times.
I'm only talking based on there.
Yeah, Farker saying Helder Costa wants to leave the club, so hasn't been involved over the summer. Says he had 8 players on the bench because there were only 8 players he felt were properly ready. And following that, Farker, we need more experience and quality. It's not healthy, but I don't complain. I knew exactly what a task it will be. I'm not disappointed.
Good, because you know what? That's one of my biggest worries right now. One of my biggest worries is that our impatient, naive fan base, and shoot me all you want, will jump all over the back of Daniel Farker, and Daniel Farker will think, nah, balls to this. I don't need this on my reputation, because we are going to have to strap in, and none of this is going to be Daniel Farker's fault. We have got to strap in and let him play the football that he wants to play. We've got to trust him 100%. We've got to make Ellen Road, and me saying this ain't going to make anything change, of course, but we've got to make Ellen Road an absolute bear pit of hostility for the opposition, not for his own players, because them players right now are struggling enough. Like, they don't need our own fan base giving them shit when, Carl Darlow's trying to play out from back how he's instructed to 17-year-old Archie Gray. Like, we just don't need it.
No, we definitely don't. No, it's I'm just gobsmacked at what's going on at this club. I mean, I'm checking Twitter and I'm having a look through for the comments, and I mean, it's exactly like we said, relegation doesn't solve anything, and we are so vulnerable right now. We are such a vulnerable position. And, you look at Leicester, it's early season, but they're 5 points ahead of us. We might not get that back.
No.
Look at Burnley. We might not get that back. Look, it's really early, but are we going to get our act together in the next 10 games, over the course of the next 10 games, really? It could be an absolute horror show. I just don't even know what they can do recruitment-wise because,
For me, Browney,
any point from now to the last hour of the window, players can go.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We ain't got many left. That's one thing that you have to look at. That we ain't got many more attractive players left, really, for teams. The long and short now is that we have to go about getting some experience to help this young group and get some quality in through the doors. But I'm telling you, like right now, we will do well to finish top half.
Yeah,
we will. And I said it before the season, and optimism kind of changed. And as we started to maybe look like we were going to keep some of Il Sinistera and some of the, that can change. And if we get the signings right, but I'm telling you, a lot of stars will have to align for us to be anywhere near a promotion race this season. Anywhere, and it's a reaction rate. It's just the truth. Yeah, 2-year project for me.
Yeah, at least. I still feel a sense of blame rests with the previous owners, especially with the contracts given. We have no control. Yeah, that's it. I mean, they basically, it was kamikaze. It was like, look, sign for us. You've got a loan release clause, this kind of thing we've never really seen before. We've never really heard of it before. We're going to put everyone on these loan release clauses. So just come to Leeds United. You've got to get out if it all goes wrong. We don't think it's going to go wrong. And then it does go wrong. And then they all jump ship. I mean, today, looking at that on the pitch today, that didn't look like a team that had been in the Premier League for 3 years, then playing a championship team. It's
not, is it?
Well, it's not. No, it's not. I mean, apart from a few of the players that absolutely failed horrendously, it's just nothing. I mean, for me, Ampadu was kind of the only one who looked a bit polished, sharp, up to the level. The rest of it's kids. We're trying to get kids to lead this, and it's just, it's like, I mean, Cresswell, I mentioned him earlier, but again, it's like, the guy hasn't played that much first team football, and he's going to be, Hope's getting pinned on him. Archie Gray, Hope's getting pinned on him. Gellert comes in and just look miles off it because we don't have a striker. It's bonkers. I can't believe this situation. I mean, I can't believe it. Honestly, I'm just absolutely gobsmacked. I cannot believe we're sat here 2 games into the championship when we were meant to be one of the favourites, all this stuff, takeover, and it's a heap of crap that we're in right now. It's a heap of crap. LUFC 11, Daniel Farker, what expand on Sinistera's unavailability after being asked if it was a non-tour situation? Asked about Perkins' absence, he says he'd rather have less subs if people don't show in training. Also, a problem with Perkins now.
Well, unless he's just not showing as being good enough. I don't know if that's what that means, but that is a wild indictment. That's a wild indictment of Perkins, isn't it?
Do you know what I would thinking about him, because he was absolutely absent in pre-season. He didn't get a minute in pre-season.
Yeah.
You just think, why? He's meant to be this hot talent, but we need more. We need more than just 18, 19, 20-year-olds. Do you know what I mean? We need more. We need 25, 26, 27-year-olds. We need people with experience. But how are we meant to go out and buy that now? Who's there that we're going to be able to buy? What money are we going to be able to spend? We can't even get a fee for anyone. God, I mean, if the club, can the club really keep Nonto against his will? And then if you get pushed to selling, what kind of fee are you going to get?
I think they can. And, I've seen a lot of fans saying, stick him in reserves, put him in under 21s, let him rot there for 3 years and lose one of your valuable assets that you can make 20 million quid on. For me, you put a fee on him and you tell the teams that are interested in him, you put this down, is yours. That's it. 20 million for me is more than enough, if I'm honest. I don't think he's worth that much more than 20 million. Leeds fans will not like that, but I think that's the truth. He's 5 or 6 moments, all these attitude issues.
I think he's quality. I think the ball sticks to him. I think he's, for 19, I think he's unbelievable potential. I think
he's got a lot of potential. But in terms of what we've seen right now, because potential is never guaranteed, and he's got a lot of mist around him. He's not done very much more than what we paid 4 million quid for. So 20 million quid for me, I think it's all right business. And given all this unrest around it, just get rid of him now. I understand. Yeah, I understand sitting on it, and we don't want to be pushed around. I get it completely, but for me, it just doesn't make sense to cut his nose off to spite his face, I guess. Yeah.
The one thing I would say here is, and as LUFC 11's been saying here, Farker on the window and future recruitment in the rest of it, there's confidence. I totally believe in the quality of the people. Sometimes it's a bit difficult. Now, I do have a lot of faith in Hammond. I have faith in, I think, Parag Marathi is not a guy who's going to get bullied. Do you know what I mean? These are serious people with serious intentions. Ampadu, Rodon, Darlow, very shrewd signings. Very
quality.
Spot on quality signings. The issue is, can we get more of that? Now, I would back them to do it, and if they get a good fee, you would hope that they can really do it for us. But I think we're a mile away from playoffs and all that. I think we're an absolute mile away from all that. And I think, look, narratives in seasons can change. Teams that look down and out can suddenly go on runs. And Farker's Norwich were, not all that at the start of their seasons that went up as champions.
Burnley didn't win in the first 5 last season. Looking towards some silver linings, if you like. Burnley took 5 games to win a game last season, lost 2 of the first 4. I just think the quality that we've got up front is going to take so much replacing now.
Yeah.
That's the big problem. We desperately need a 9.
That's our secret, well, not secret weapon, but that was our super weapon, wasn't it? That forward line.
I do have a feeling though, that Jack Harrison's going to stay now. With his injury and all this that's going on, Jack will not refuse to play for this club. I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
No.
And I think Harrison will probably see this situation and be like, look, you've got me till January at the least. I need to come back from this injury anyway. I can give you 5 months. Or whatever it is, I can see that. So I think Harrison will end up staying. Let's not put Somerville in with this. We were told Somerville were out for 3 weeks from a groin strain after the game last weekend. We can't start pretending like he's now part of this one. We don't know. Yeah, we were told they were injured a week ago. So let's just leave it at that and deal with that when he comes back or not. Sinisterra and Nonto now is confirmed. We just need to bring some quality in quickly. Like real quickly.
Yeah, we've got to, because that attack today was blunt. I mean, there wasn't an attack. It was basically Dan James was the outlet where, for me, 7 times out of 10, it's the wrong decision at the end, or he loses it, or when he does put the good ball in, then you've not got Joe Gelhardt getting on the end of it. That attack is such a mishmash. I'm really disappointed in Joffrey, though. I really am disappointed in Joffrey. I really wanted him to kick on from, the last couple of years. He had that loan spell at Sunderland. He didn't dazzle on that loan spell, and he's come back, and I'm just so disappointed. I'm disappointed for him because, there's no doubt Fark won't have him in the team if he won't working his bollocks off.
I just don't think he's good enough. I just don't think he's good enough, mate.
No, I don't get it. I just don't get it because he just seemed oozing with talent and potential, and it's just like, mate, this is your chance. You got your chance to be there and doing it up front. But and the thing is with Rutter as well. I mean, the thing with Rutter is it a bit overplayed with Rutter? I mean, I know the club seem to make a big focus on him, but is he the man to lead the line? Is he the man that's going to bag the goals and assists for us? I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sold on Rutter. I don't think he's done anything in a Leeds shirt, apart from a few glimpses. He's done less than Somerville, Nonto, and Sinisterra, put it that way. I know he's been less time than them. But, I mean,
we've got to give him time.
It feels like there was a big focus on Rutter, and I'm just thinking, I don't think Rutter's going to be the answer to the... I mean, how old is Rutter? 21 or something?
Yeah, 21, yeah.
20, again, it's asking, someone who they've got to adapt to a new style of football, adapt to a different
country. What we've got to deal with, though, isn't it?
Oh, it's Leeds, man. What are you doing? Diggler TC, thanks for comment, mate. Sadly, Joffrey isn't really good enough for Leeds United. It's starting to feel that way, but, he is young and it's high-pressured situations. And for me, he would have been better as an impact player. And it's same with Poveda, though. I didn't really want to see Poveda starting, and I disagreed with Jason when he said he thought he was pretty woeful. But I do understand because he was ineffective. He was ineffective.
I just thought the ball bounced off him. I thought it was
Yeah.
too easy to dispossess.
No,
I thought he ran down corridors. He overhit pass. He underhit pass. I didn't think he was very good today, and I thought it was ineffective, really. But this is the problem. We see a flash at the end of the Cardiff game, and we're like, oh yeah, Pavetta is like the best thing. Like,
I know.
Just temper your expectations. And in the end, yeah, he played all right against Shrewsbury, but it's against Shrewsbury. Like, you put him up today in an away game where you really need him to come to the fore, and he's not going to patch on Somerville or Harrison, and sure, he's probably not gonna have, but that doesn't mean that he's then the answer. Yeah, like we need better quality than that, especially in the 10. The 10 is just. I can't believe we had to play Shackleton on right wing. Like,
I mean, it's just. I mean that is phenomenal. To get to a situation where Shackleton is your right winger, it's just like absolutely unbelievable. Interesting one from John. Thanks for your comment, mate. With a full available squad, who in today's lineup makes the team? Well,
I mean, but the thing is, John, like the full available squad isn't going to be the squad come the end of August, because we're going to sign new players and we're going to see players go out. But nothing. Well, I mean, again, who's available? Are you talking Sinisterra and Nonto? Are they part of that? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Colin, thanks for comment. Would you take Morales on a free? He will get his goals.
I saw Colin say it further up. For me, not a chance. He would get you maybe a few goals for a couple of months until he didn't fancy it anymore, and then you'd have another bad apple in your ranks. He's a problem. He's just a problem. We don't need any more problems. Not for me, anyway.
Do you know, I'm looking at these other teams that have had results today. You know, you look at Ipswich. You know, you look at Coventry. You know, you're looking at these settled teams. You know, with a lot of players similar, and you know that have stayed for a while, and it's been building up. And you look at Leeds, and it's I mean, it's just a mishmash, a total mishmash.
Mess, isn't it?
The squad building has been absolutely horrific since, you know, that first Premier League Bielsa season. I mean, it's just been. I mean, we're paying a huge price for it as well. Absolutely huge cost. We still owe payments on several players, big payments that are going to hamper us and hamstring us. You know, going forward. You know, we're going to have to sell to buy.
Don't forget that relegation was a good chance to reset.
If we'd have stayed up, we shouldn't torture ourselves. But if we'd have stayed up, we could have had Iriola. We could have had, you know, it would have been a different. The
thing is,
new ownership in the Premier League would have been phenomenal.
You get a completely different opportunity to reset in the Premier League, because what happens is you don't have all these loan clauses. That's the first thing. You can move on some of these players that don't want to stay. So, you know, if Christensen's not good enough, you move him on. That's what happens after a year. Move him on, sell him for 10 million quid or whatever, right? You can attract a totally different level of players. So the players that then comes in are way better. And look at the Premier League this year. Luton and Sheffield United are going to finish in the bottom two spots, right? They are. So then you would have been fighting over one other spot. Like, I'm telling you, I don't need to say anymore because I think everybody now knows it. But yeah, it's just a wild take.
I can't believe that we're sitting here though at the start. You know, like 2 weeks ago, even a week ago, you have that optimism of a new season. You think, oh, it's going to be different, and you know this is going to happen. New ownership, new manager, fresh players, and we're still paying a price from that regime. You know, we are. We're still hampered by that regime. Their legacy on this club is brutal, absolutely brutal. I mean,
it's a different version, mate, of what happened 17 years ago.
Yeah,
it's not as bad, but the mismanagement at the top affected us for years. Years and years, and thankfully it ain't as bad as that, and we now have a far more capable owners in charge than we had when we came out of the Premier League last time. But it's a mess, mate. It's a mess.
Yeah,
it's an absolute mess.
It's going to be difficult to see where we go from here. I mean, it's how long? What we on 12th of August today? We've got 2.5 weeks until the window's shut. We don't know who's going to be here. I mean, I don't know.
Deadline day will be exciting.
I know we're going to have to do a live show, I think, deadline day, because it's going to be crazy. I mean, it's going to be absolutely crazy. Any positives from today, Jason?
That's rough. That's tough. Poor Dave's just saying Dave's going through all the Leeds content creators looking for hope. Like, listen, our hope comes from Daniel Farke and hopefully the 49ers doing the best job that they can. Nick Hammond between now and the end of the window. The hope needs to come from the fact that maybe if you had optimism going into August, you shouldn't have had, because this was likely always to happen. We always knew. I didn't expect Sinisterra and Nonto to do what they've done, but we always expected late bids to come in, some of these players to go, and we didn't expect them to go. You know, Tyler Adams this week as well as thrown a spanner in works, not going to Chelsea, whatever happened there. So the hope has to come in that a lot can happen in between now and the end of the window. And I think it will. I do think it will. But it's going to take time then for them to bed in, and then for the players to start playing the style of football that Daniel Farke wants them to play, because we are going to keep on seeing this. And, you know, it's not bombing balls into the box and getting half chances. Yeah. You know, it's a particular style of football that's going to take time.
Methodical.
Take up in Ethan Ampadu, baller. You know, I really like watching Ethan Ampadu play. Just like everything about him. And that's all I can give you, Dave.
Good effort, to be fair. Colin, what's happened to Nat Phillips coming in, gents? I don't know. God knows. It's just like faded, hasn't it? Absolutely faded. Quite a few of you watching along now. If you could please smash a like on the video, that would be much appreciated.
Right now, I don't care about another centre-back signing. We've signed Joe Rodon. I still think we need another centre-back, but that is not where our problems are right now. Our problem lies in midfield, and a 9 particularly. We need a left back as well. I mean, we do need players all over the pitch, but there's definitely more pressing areas than centre back.
Yeah. What do you think of Byram today? Did he kind of do enough to kind of justify probably starting left back going forward for the foreseeable?
I thought it was okay. I just thought it was okay.
Christ, Dave. It's been reported 5 are refusing to play.
But who? Like who?
So we got So hang on. So Nonto, Sinisterra. We're thinking Costa might be one of them.
Yeah, but Costa don't count.
We don't give a monkeys about Costa.
Costa don't count because he was never going to play again this season. So let's not.
We don't want him to play for us. Not Perkins.
I don't think Perkins is that either. That's just not true.
Tyler Adams, maybe. I did see the thing about Tyler Adams where it was like he would have been fit to play for Chelsea this weekend if he'd have sealed the move. I did see that little thing coming on Twitter there, but yeah, not sure about that one. It's like a bloody rebellion going on at Leeds. I tell you, they're all on strike.
It just stinks of social media gathering too much pace for me. Like, let's just relax. Like, the facts are right. Not Nonto, but Sinisterra is way too good for the Championship.
Yeah,
way too good for the Championship. So that doesn't mean that he should be doing what he's doing. But the facts are, the likelihood is he wouldn't have been here regardless of how we react come the end of the window anyway. I've got no loyalty to any of them players that took us down. None of them. Maybe apart from Jack Harrison and a couple of the old guard. Like, I still love them as players that have been around for a while. But in terms of the players that came in last season and then have all disappeared, it's just terrible recruitment, guys. And the quicker we can kind of get away from that phase, the better. They don't belong in the Daniel Farke system. They are not about Daniel Farke's fight. They're not. You can see it.
No,
so,
absolutely. Awesome. Yeah, get rid. Jonesy, we need a centre-back, left-back, right-back, 2 midfielders, 2 wingers and 2 strikers. Sell all of those who don't want to be here ASAP. Buy quality players at this level, or we can just wait for next year. Yeah, no.
We need the likes.
And yes, I know I still need to change my avatar. Yeah, you do, Jonesy.
we need the likes of Lewis O'Brien. We need them kind of names and figures that can really step up in this division and do a solid job for us. Go and look at, Charlie Taylor. I would be, or Kiefer Moore. I'd be looking at these kind of names because, if for no other, we need a bit of solidity. We need a bit of fight. We need a little bit of a transitional period. And some of these players, they might not be good enough in a year's time, but I'm not saying that we're going to be fighting towards the bottom, but this could get a lot worse yet. Like this, if we don't get this right, if this next 2.5 weeks don't go right and we go into in between now and January with this squad, we're in trouble. We are in trouble.
This was an easy start. This was our easy start to the season. We had easy games. We must have forgot what the championship is like. Kevin, I agree with what you say, Jason, but Cine should not humiliate the club, but do it with dignity.
I agree, Kevin. 100% I agree.
I like this. Why can't Ailing refuse to play, Dave?
I mean, he might as well have done out on pitch today. He did refuse to play. It was just weird. On the pitch.
Do you know what? It's almost like, is he kind of proving a point with Ailing or something? I don't know. It's one thing when I'm looking at it going, surely drama's worth a shot at this point, for just something different, please.
The only thing that I can say with that, Browney, is how young is this squad already? Right? I know. If you drop Ailing out of that side as well, I mean, where is the experience? You ain't got any.
Yeah.
You haven't got any. Ampadu would be classed as your most experienced player, and he's 22.
Yeah.
Dan James at maybe 25.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I agree with it, but I get it.
It's we're in a bit of a sticky situation here. Real sticky situation.
I agree with exactly what Kevin's saying. I'm just making the point that I think a little bit of kind of perspective has to be taken on it in that we expected these players to move on anyway. It's disgusting what they're doing, but they're not built the same way as some of our heroes were. They don't have the same.
Definitely not.
No, they don't have the same, feeling towards a football club nowadays. It's just a business, and it stinks. Not for all of them, but the majority of them.
They've achieved nothing. All they achieved was a relegation. They got us relegated. I mean, that's all they've done. We thought they would leave. Good riddance. I mean, Sinisterra, like you said earlier, class above this level. We know that.
Yeah,
there's just ways of doing things. And when he came on the other night at Shrewsbury, he seemed to really give it a good go. And you're thinking, there's not been any rumours about Sinisterra. There's not been any clubs sniffing. From what we've heard, it looks like he's involved and he wants this.
The thing is,
what about?
I was
sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Go on, hold it. I was saying this on Twitter yesterday about this Nanto situation. People are very naive to what actually goes on within football unless they've actually experienced it a little bit. And obviously, I've worked within football, and these conversations happen all the time. So for all we know, Sinisterra's agent got a phone call from a manager the other day. Yeah. Would Louis be prepared to come to X club? Yes, he would. Agents in the ear of Sinisterra, and that's it. His head's turned. It's gone, and that happens. It's not, Inter Milan make contact with somebody at Leeds United, and they have this nice chit chat about whether a player's available, and then they put a bid in, and it don't work like that. I'm telling you, like the club that is interested knows whether the player would want to come to them before the clubs even talk. In 99.9% of all deals, that's how it works. So that's what's happened. Sinisterra's come on the pitch the other day. There's no way that he came on the pitch the other day against Shrewsbury for 10 minutes, knowing what he knows now. So in between Wednesday and Saturday, something's happened, which has made him not play today. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Jonesy, the fact is Bielsa was getting in Orta's way, and the second he left, look at what's come in. Look at what position the contracts have left us in. The new owners will need years to rectify this. Colin, could you imagine this Shower refusing to play for Revy? My God, he would kick them out. Oh, my God. It's not even in the same universe as Don Revy's players. I mean, it's just, there's that story going around on Twitter about Madeley kind of, not even checking what he was going to get paid on his contract. He said he just wanted to play for Leeds United. You know,
Different
it's more
world,
humble
isn't it?
times. You know, obviously
Different
the money
world.
money wanting the game like it is, and you know, money. We know what money does.
That point there by Jones is just so spot on, though. You know, I just keep on thinking back to when we used to hear that the player that we've given to Bielsa doesn't meet Bielsa standards. You're not wrong. Like I see it now more than ever. My eyes are so open to it. Yeah, Bielsa were turning them all down because their attitude stunk, or the quality weren't good enough, or both. Yeah. And that's where you now find Bielsa goes. Every single player, guys, since Bielsa leaving has been a failure. Every single one of them. Tyler Adams, I would maybe say, is a slight little bit of an exception to it because he got a bad injury that he couldn't do anything with. But Sinisterra, too injury prone. He was injury prone before we got him. We still signed off on it. Now showing his attitude. Nonto, McKennie, Christensen, Verber. Like, you go on and on and on. You go through them all, and they were all terrible. And that's because, as Jones are there, perfectly spot on. Otto was left to his own devices and brought in.
We made a huge mistake. I mean, I remember reading Moscow White from the Square Ball. He wrote a brilliant piece when Bielsa left the club, and it was kind of foreshadowing that twist of fate, the fact that we were moving away from something that had been incredible for us because of the short term, because we were getting those thumpings and we couldn't see the wood for the trees. And then you fast forward now, we're back in the Championship, we've been relegated, we've got players fleeing. It's just, Gregory here, I would say to the want-away players is train hard, play, get us a few points between now and the end of the window, and they'll get their move. Yeah, I mean, it's bizarre. It's just, it's we know how cynical the game is. We know exactly like what you said, Jason. There's these conversations going on all the time, all the time, and they're going to try and get the best for themselves. It's just, for me, I think it's just such a damn shame that it's like this.
It's as twisted, really, I'm not saying that Sean Dyche will have done this, right? But it's as twisted as this, that somebody within Everton will have rang Nonto's agent and said, get him to hand in a transfer request. Yeah. Get him not to play. Get him to refuse not to play because what we'll do, because we've only got 17 million that were available for this transfer. So we can't be paying the 25 million that Leeds are insisting. We want him. We've agreed on terms already. The terms will be agreed already done.
Yeah.
The contract. So that's normal. It's not perfectly, but it's totally normal. It's bang out of order, but it's uncontrollable. It's impossible to police because it goes on behind the scenes. Nobody admits it out in the open. Fabrizio Romano saying that terms are agreed on Twitter is not a confession of guilt from the person that's then misbehaved. But so you can't do anything about it. So I am absolutely convinced that Everton will have been in the ear of Nonto's agent to get all of this to happen, because they are desperate for obviously the signing to go through, but they can't afford it because of the money problems they've got. We all know that they've got money problems. So, yeah, it's, and they'll be looking at Nonto as a potential to resell on in a year's time for 40 million quid when they get relegated. That's the truth.
David, thanks for your comment. No better off with the 49ers in charge. These players are not interested in the club, the badge, the fans.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. Because the 49ers are mopping up mess that was created before them. They were here, but they were minority stakeholders. It's a different ball game. And, to say that we're no better off in charge, we're no better off in charge with them right now because of how bad it was before. Can you imagine how bad this would have been if Rajazani was still here? Oh my holy shit. Brownie, I bear to even think about it. Honestly, it would have been, Nonto would have gone for 8 million quid. Sinisterra would have gone for 12 million quid. Like, it'd be a mess. We wouldn't have Ampadu. I can tell you that now.
No, we won't. Definitely
it'd be a shit show.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, thank God they're gone. Jonesy, we were linked with McKennie before Bielsa got sacked. He came in, worst player I've seen for us for years. Do you know what? I still liking some posts from Leeds United players. Always Weston McKennie. I'm like, oh my God, he might be angling to come back because I think he's on the dump list at the moment, I think, for Juventus. Diglett, agents cause all the problems, in my opinion. Yeah, agents are, we know what agents are about. Look, they're trying to secure the best deal for their player because it helps them. They'll earn more money from the moves, and that's the root of it. is this situation. I just wish there was more. I don't know. I'd love to be a fly on the wall at these conversations where a player goes in and Nonto says to Farke, I don't want to play. I'd love to know what that conversation goes down and what Farke says in that situation. I bet it's talk to my agent.
Apparently he trained.
Well, yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Thursday, Friday.
Pathetic. It's just pathetic, honestly. Just really pathetic. Stephen Rutter, he needs to go on a good diet and get in the gym, then he might be a good player. He's got a lot of work to do, hasn't he? We know that, absolutely. Colin, get Nonto out by Tuesday. I'll go for Connor Chaplin and Kiefer Moore. Jonesy, did you hear about the new regulations on agents from October? No, I didn't actually. Or do you know, Jason?
So basically at the moment they have an uncapped percentage of what they can earn from a deal.
Right.
So basically, like Nonto goes for 20 million quid. They can negotiate with them that they get 8% of that or 10% of that or whatever. It's going to be capped at 3%. There's also other regulations around it as well as to what they can be given as a bonus, what they can be given as this. My only worry is that they will also then find a way around it, in that it'll just be a lump sum to have that agent act for them on their behalf in other deals. I don't really see it changing much. I understand why they're bringing it in, but I just think it's an opportunity for them to find other loopholes. They are, like not all agents. Like my phone's full of agents' numbers, and like some of them are all right, and they act, especially lower down the ladder. They do a lot of hard work for their players. That struggling to find clubs, especially in and around national level and stuff like that. They do struggle to find clubs to players, so they do a lot of hard work. But further up, Mino Raiola and the likes of them, like they're just farming money, guys. That's all they're there for. They're just farming money, and they don't even do anything really. The players could act on their own behalf. They know exactly what they're worth and whatnot. But these agents get hold of them, and it can be a sad state of affairs. Look at Rio Ferdinand, Max Aaron's agent.
Yeah, exactly. What's Daniel Farke thinking tonight, Jess?
Well, by the sounds of his comments, I think he knows. He knew what he were in for, didn't he? I don't think he'll be happy with the performance today, but I think he will be looking at it in that he knows that these players are not good enough. A lot of them are not good enough to bring in the quality that the results that we need. I thought we defended okay today. I think he'll be happy with Ampadu and Gray on the whole. He'll be desperate for a number 9. He'll be desperate for a number 10. And I think, as he said several times, I think he'll be desperate for the end of the window.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, roll on the end of the window. Honestly, we need it. Digler, directors of football possibly have an actual connection with agents, albeit never spoken about, which means a conflict of interest. Eddie, have we gone from having the only Arab owners with no money to the only American owners with no ambition?
I think that needs to stop, Eddie. I'm going to call that out. I think that attitude needs to stop. They've gone out there and employed the most successful manager in Championship history, other than Mick McCarthy, the only manager other than Mick McCarthy that's got 2 Championship winning titles on his CV. In Daniel Farke. They've gone and shown intent with the likes of signing Ethan Ampadu. They've recruited Nick Hammond, who was good enough to do a job for the Arabs at Newcastle only a few months ago, to keep them up with some fantastic signings. The facts is that they are hamstrung by horrendous mismanagement before they took full ownership of this club. We have to give them time, and I honestly, they need us as a fan base to get right behind them players right now, because the players that we are needing us to do a job like right now, the likes of Jamie Shackleton, the likes of Charlie Cresswell, the likes of Joe Gellart, who might not be good enough, and we can all have his opinions on that, but they are the players that are prepared to play for your club right now and give it all. They are, and that's what we've got to deal with, and we have got to, as much as we possibly can, encourage as many fans as possible to get right behind the team. Especially at home, because this is going to be a tough time. But I am confident the 49ers and Daniel Farke will get this right. It's just going to take time.
Yeah,
That's my big.
no,
It's my biggest worry, Brownie. It's my biggest worry that Daniel don't get the support and fans get on the back and the club see no option but to sack him. That really worries me because it can happen in these moments when we're in a bad state. Sorry, Brownie. You.
No, I was just going to say I 1,000,000% agree with that. I think we're in a situation now where we're down to the bare bones of a squad. The players that are there need the full backing. We were there Wednesday night and there were groans and moans, and impatience with the style as well.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is it's because what we want to achieve, where we think we should be, is so at odds with where we actually are now. Because, you think a relegated team from the Premier League should be bang favourites to go straight back up. And even though we've got all this evidence in front of us that says that couldn't be further from the truth, players wanting to leave, players refusing to play, players going out on loan, there's still that feeling there that we should be doing better than this. We should be getting results and we should be seeing progress. But I think you're right. I think it's getting to a situation now where we need to forget that. I think we really need to forget that. I think we've been a Premier League team, but like you said earlier, none of those players are here now practically. It's almost like a clean slate, to be honest.
The thing is, Brownie, right? The 10 players, if you like, that would have been seen as being Premier League players for Leeds United have all gone. They've all gone. Yeah. Whereas Leicester and Southampton have still got remnants of some of that Premier League quality. I've seen Southampton and Norwich do 4-4 today, but Stuart Armstrong, Adam Armstrong, Shea Adams all scoring. Yeah, they all played for them last season. They're top Championship players, bottom end Premier League players. I wouldn't be surprised to see Sheffield United, Luton, Burnley come and pick some of them up because they're that quality. We don't have any of them. We don't have, that's a lot. We have one or two left, one or two that they might pick up. The likes, well, Ampadu is one of them. Dan James, I would maybe say he's on the periphery of that conversation, if you like. We don't have many. We definitely don't have many of them. I'm struggling to find them. Yeah. So, and who in the Premier League comes and picks up Jamie Shackleton?
Doesn't happen.
Who in the Premier League starts Archie Gray?
No.
Yeah, none of them. Cooper, Strike, Byram. Yeah, go on, Ayling, go on and on and on. But you can have that conversation about Leicester and Southampton and the other teams. They all still have all that cohort of players that can do it. So we're miles off it, guys. We're miles off it, and I think we need another 7 or 8 players, mate. I genuinely do for the squad to be.
Like Jonesy said earlier, yeah.
I'm talking 7 or 8. 4 or 5 top players that are going to be first 11, and then 2 or 3 that come in and play part of the squad game. We're miles off it.
It's a right job Hammond and Co have got themselves now, because to try and fill in the blank spots on this team is it's an unenviable task. I won't fancy that myself, because I don't know where you find that. I mean, it's like the Tyler Adams thing now. He's moved to Chelsea, he's got cancelled, and I'd kind of made my peace with it, because it was like, do you know what? With Ampadu, actually, you've got someone who can actually do a bit more than Tyler in that role potentially. Although it would be nice to have that level of experience, that level of competition, rather than it being a 17-year-old and Ampadu, and then you're looking at JB, But I mean, if Adams ends up staying, I mean, I don't know. For some reason, I've just got this thing that I think he's going to find it tricky to go. Is Adams? I don't know. I just
linked for Brighton now, the winner.
Well, yeah. I mean, surely he's going to get. Yeah, surely he's going to get picked up. Surely
he'll go. He'll go.
We need the money in. We need the money in, don't we?
But you know what, right? With Brownie, with Tyler Adams, if Tyler came back into the squad and made his peace with the fact that he didn't go to Chelsea, I can handle that because he's dealt with it in the right way. For whatever reason, the transfer didn't go through. If he comes back into the squad and plays for us up until January and then moves, or plays for us until the end of the season, I'm all right with that.
Absolutely.
No problem with somebody wanting to better themselves. These are not Leeds fans either, don't forget. No problem at all. It's just a way that some of these have gone about it.
Well, the perception with Adams he's the only one of the players signed last year.
Yeah.
might be a bit harsh on Rutter because we don't know how that's going to play out. But he's the only one, when he took Archie Gray to the side at the end of the game last week, and he's having a word with it. That leadership, he's there in the ground. He seemed to be getting involved. He's the only one where I would think I would like to keep him. But if it's 20 million in the bank and it opens us to get more quality, but if you get a couple of Ampadu deals in, loans of the quality of Rodon, we can turn this around. We can turn this around. It's going to be an unbelievable 2.5 weeks into. I mean, the other day where we had Max Aarons done, and that turned around, and then Nonto refused it. I mean, those type of days, Brooks. I was buzzing that morning. That morning was absolutely
Rodon and Aarons.
Rodon and Aarons. Rodon and Aarons, and we didn't none of this Nonto stuff. We'd just seen Somerville, Sinisterra, and Nonto that weekend, absolutely looking like they are the ones, to do it. And there was one podcast I was listening to, not the top 20, where they had Leeds going up as champions, but it was on the contingent that we kept this forward line, And I don't know where you get that. You can't replace that quality if you're.
It's unreplaceable.
It's
unreplaceable, to be honest. Dave's just put there. We were behind the players. Then they came out and say, "I want out." I'm not talking about the players that have said that they want out. I'm talking about the ones that are now here. Yeah, I get it. Like we're not supporting Willie Nonto and Luis Sinisterra. Like that goes without saying.
No, isn't it a horrible feeling though? Like these players that have entertained us, and like we were purring about Sinisterra the other night. It's just, man, football. It's just, it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal to have these wonderful players and then to treat your club like this is just absolutely shocking.
I said to Brownie the other day, that we were spoilt during the Bielsa days. I said that to you, didn't I, the other day when we went to Shrewsbury game? I says we've been spoilt by the Bielsa days, and it set this kind of expectation for the football now under Daniel Farke and everything that we should expect, because we've seen what good, really, really good should look like. And obviously we're now at the moment not getting it, but we are where we are, and I think it's just going to be a tall order, guys, and we've got to have patience with Daniel Farke. That's all I'm saying. We've got to give him the opportunity and the time.
19th in the table, could be worse. Huddersfield, the 23rd. So there's always that. That's one of the bright spots, I think, from today. We're going to leave it there, I think. We'll be back, myself, Jason, and a couple of the others. We'll be doing a bit of a weekend review on Monday, looking at Huddersfield Town, Bradford City and Leeds as well. Seeing where we stand then, but thank you so much for your comments. Please smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel for more content as well. Jason, appreciate it as always. Thanks for coming on, mate.
I've got a stress headache.
Oh, I know. My evening now is like refreshing Twitter and kind of doom scrolling, seeing how bad it can get, I think.
I'm going to order a takeaway, watch the boxing. That'll be my night.
Yeah,
go and watch us. It's out Anthony Joshua in it.
Is it? But it's not against Dillian White, is it?
No, he's had a replacement in Robert Elenius.
Right. Will be any good?
He's all right. He got knocked out by Wilder about a year ago in one round, though. So I wouldn't expect Joshua to struggle, but the undercard's pretty good. So
no. Jason Booker's boxing podcast heading your way. That's what you'll have to do. All right, we'll leave it there, guys. Thank you very much. Really appreciate everything, and we'll be back again in the future. Thank you.